From the docket of Glim Vigil, Chaplain of Central Receiving for the Order of the Cathedral. Item 17. One mated pair of non-schismatic demi-angels, wild caught, preserved in thermostasis. Wouldn't do to have these darlings waking up, so let's move them to a facility with some backup generators, shall we? Location 4 should do. Item 18. One Scepter of Eternity. Gold, 1.2 meters. Another one. Remind me to have a word with procurement. Meanwhile, crate it up and send it to Storage Chapel 8 with the rest of them. Perhaps we can sell them off as one lot. Item 19. Mikoi psionic residue, imprinted on silk, sealed in stained glass. Oh, this will make a lovely display piece. Have a plinth set up in the vestibule. The marble, half-meter tall. Artificial light only. No placard. Wouldn't want to rile the Iluroi. Item 20. The Eye of Abolos. Never heard of it. Certainly a lively thing, though. Let's see. Procured by Redacted. Non-saleable. Holding for Redacted. Wonderful. Move it to the upper vestibule of Unit 6, the one with the dampening fields. Post a full guard detachment. Item 21. The Egg of Redacted. Oh, for heaven's sake, how am I supposed to work with all this paranoid nonsense in the way? I'm going to talk to the bishop. Paul's docket.
Welcome to the Chimera. This is a role-playing adventure show where blah blah blah. Look, I have some good news and some bad news for you guys before we get into this one. The good news is that, like all responsible podcasters, we do run a Skype recording as a backup for every episode. The bad news is that today you have to listen to it. So things might be maybe a little bit rougher in the editing than is sometimes the case, but I'm pretty sure that it's all there and it's all pretty functional. So, and it's a good episode, so I think that hopefully that will make up for it. Our campaign is still the Old Bones. Our system is still Onyx Path StoryPath system. And I am still Vin Labate playing Cidra, a living financial instrument. And I am, as always, today joined by...
I'm Braden Lamb. I'm playing Dang, an energy-eating space rhino bodyguard.
I'm Casey Smith, playing Molly Harrow, a human technophile and gadgeteer, and the captain of the ship Chimera.
I'm Kelly Weissman Asperuth Jackson. I portray Theron Melanthios, a 7-foot-tall heretical catman.
I am Jeffrey Bard, and I play Releth, a galactic lawyer from the wrong side of the Akashic Bleed, and pilot of a mech that goes by the name of Moonin.
And of course, our beloved Game Master Josh Hall-Bachner, who you will be hearing from just as soon as I stop doing the introductory stuff, which for some reason I'm still doing, but I'm going to stop as soon as I stop talking, which is now. Now is the time. Here we go.
All right, so when last we left our intrepid heroes, Theron had just moved into the Chocolate Judgment Awareness facility in the Cathedral District in the Last Resort, and done a little bit of initial scouting to try to determine what was going on there and what they could do to try to get access to the item that they're trying to hunt down, the Eye of Abolos. And now, what you guys want to do next?
Oh, I think I might have missed how we discovered the name of the item.
Oh, that would be because I fucked up, probably. Shit.
As long as it was you and not us.
It was me. It's fine. It's all good.
I feel like, because Cidra did some researching about two things that were slightly anomalous, and one of them happened to be like the acquisition of this thing, and then one of them was someone paying for a service that was performed, I think.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely, at least I didn't get any names out of that. I don't think you got a follow-up either.
I really thought that I just...
Wait, let me see, because I wrote it down, so I feel like...
You wrote down the I. That's why I was pretty sure. Maybe I didn't say the name that was attached to it. Maybe that was it.
No. Did Theron find it? Did he go into an office or something before he found the actual object?
Theron went into an office
Yes.
and saw, like, basically an interdepartmental memo about the fact that, like, this thing was going to be stored on premises for a little while.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I didn't fuck up that. I checked Slack to make sure that because you usually take notes of any names that I say, and I checked to make sure that you had written something down, and you did.
Okay.
Okay, so it came from somewhere.
Maybe I didn't give the subtitle, but that's fine. Okay, yeah. So, as we established previously, you're working with 2 members of the New Wave to try to get in here and liberate whatever this object is. The original premise of this was that this is related in some way to the disappearance of Earth. You know that there are several different kind of weird, presumably questionable things going on in several of the different areas and complexes in this part near the center of the Cathedral District. But after some kind of initial research, you kind of narrowed down on this one as the one that was most likely to actually match up with what you're looking for, and you verified that kind of the Akashic energies present here aligned with what information you've been able to gather. And then Theron went in and kind of scoped the place out a little bit, basically determining that he could get in through one of the upper towers and crawl down into basically what amounted to a very fancy version of the administrative office wing of a church, an area which Theron's player should be very familiar with. So yeah, I think the goal was to do some manner of split between something else to be distracting and actually going in and getting something. I think Cidra was setting something up financially that would be brought into play as part of a distraction, although I'm not remembering exactly the details of what it was now.
Yeah, I have I've already been sort of sowing the seeds by massively devaluing because the religious organization that we're dealing with here is largely a dealer of artifacts and such, and I've been sort of devaluing all their properties as a step one. And then I've got some other steps in mind depending on how much distraction we decide we need.
Right.
And currently, Cidra, Dang, and Raleth are at a local tailor shop, and Dang has just strode out in his brand new suit.
Right.
It had some really lovely art associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we should put that in the show notes if we didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So, here we are. How do you guys want to split this up? How do you want to plan to move in? It's your show at this point.
Well, I have a question about the artifact. Has anyone actually laid eyes on it? Like, do we know approximate size and weight and how hard it's going to be to discreetly get this thing out of the compound?
You can know approximate size certainly is something like within hand-holdable range, just because of the observation you were able to do on the Akashic spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have a picture of it.
Okay.
No.
Although it's an extremely powerful Akashic artifact, so you're probably not going to get too confused about what it is.
Yeah, I mean, is that a thing I can look up, like, on the equivalent of the interwebs?
Not for this one, no.
Okay.
And so Theron is sort of already in a position to, like, access that space.
Oh, Theron already left. That was the end of the episode. Was Theron snuck back out the way that he came?
Right, but he
could get back in again. Yeah, sure. I mean,
yes. Yeah, nothing about the route that you took in and out really would make it difficult for you to just repeat easily if you want to. So.
Right. I stopped short of the point at which it seemed like I was going to have to encounter some guards. Right. And rather than decide that now we were going to play a mini game where Theron does a bunch of sentry removal, I should consult with the rest of the team first.
How close are all these buildings together?
It was like the ones that we were talking about, basically like a very large street with kind of large sidewalk type space apart. I think Theron jumped from the main central cathedral, the wall of that, over to the roof of the names. I just had open, but I'm escaping me again.
Chocolate
Judgment Awareness.
Chocolate Judgment Awareness.
Yeah, so it's within kind of that range. I don't know if I specified it really detailed in terms of feet, but it's probably somewhere between, in any given spot, it's going to be something like, I don't know, between 40 and 200 feet. It's a pretty wide range, but.
And for the record, what were the names of the other places that were possible locations?
It was Chocolate Judgment Awareness, Guitar Climate Expression, and Bloodbird Establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Because we could make it look like we are, I don't know, trying to hit one of these other buildings, right? And try to pull the guards out of Chocolate
Judgment Awareness.
Or we could get some other people to do that.
Yeah, we could do that too.
If you'd
Didn't we
like,
determine... Okay.
if you'd like, I could try to start a riot.
A riot's good.
Do we want to touch base with Inkling and Jackalope and see what they're doing?
The plan was basically that they were going to split off and try to clear room for you with something that they weren't going to tell you about in case anything bad happened.
Great. So super helpful. Okay.
I like the riot idea because it doesn't necessarily have... It could, for instance, be concentrated right outside of Chocolate Judgment Awareness. Because these are three different factions, aren't they? I'm not sure that if one gets attacked, the other two are going to go try to help them out.
Well, these three, they're all part of the cathedral, so they're all kind of associated with the same bigger, weird religious, archaeological crime family order thing. But it's three different kind of sub-organizations or whatever. So it's hard to say like how much exact attention you'd get if something is happening to one of these, I guess.
But I mean, we could also
do a
frontal assault and then just have Theron go through the back, right?
Because they do share like security resources, don't they?
I would assume so.
For the most part, since it's all cathedral under the cathedral umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like that would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to start at least pulling strings to make that happen.
Start a hashtag?
Sort of. Because we talked...
Watch out. If Kylie Jenner shows up with that Pepsi, it's all over.
Oh, jeez.
Timely.
The podcast is over now. We're done. We had talked when we first arrived at the last resort about the sort of various levels of trading network that it has established, including the sort of most clandestine, which is almost like a gambling market / stock market. So I've started out by devaluing all of their merchandise, and I'm going to follow that up by suddenly spiking the demand and creating tons and tons of buy orders for it to create... essentially to make everybody want the same thing all at once. Like, oh, and here I'm going to get timely again, like your Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce. I just told you guys what weekend we're recording this.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm essentially going to try and make some sauce riots.
Okay, sauce riots it is. Okay, yeah, give me some rolls.
All right, that's going to be for you, or that's larceny, so that's 8. 3, and then 1 auto for 4, plus however much scale factors in.
Okay, how much scale bonus do you have?
I got the full 3.
Okay. So do you want to get that started? Your goal is to just get that going as fast as possible?
Yeah, because I feel like the timing of it won't necessarily be predictable in terms of when people actually move, so I'm going to start now so that it's ready when we need it.
Okay, and so is your goal to get something going and then use it as cover when it starts, or are you trying to get something fomenting so that it can like come to a head later on? Like, are we waiting for me to resolve that more, or not? I guess is my question.
I think we're probably ready for to more or less start now.
Okay, so I think what's going to end up happening there, probably the best way for this to play out is, so, you're in the Cathedral District and near the center area like we've talked about. And, we mentioned before the kind of other two major factions, one of which is the Bazaar. And I'm going to say that probably what you would have had to do here is basically arrange it so that one of these items that you're affecting the pricing of, I'm going to say they brought in one of these antiquities because this is one of the things that the cathedral does all the time, and it was probably some kind of like rare magical thing which they brought in, and they basically appraised and identified and said, oh yeah, this is a real one of the soul stones or whatever, from Zargon V, and all the paperwork checks out, and it's got all of the necessary magical energies, and all the sigils are drawn correctly and everything. And they boxed that up, sent it over to somebody in the bazaar who was going to actually fence it somewhere else to somebody somewhere else in the galaxy with this guarantee of authenticity in place. And basically right after this transfer happened, you artificially tanked the values on all of these things such that like they've basically come to believe that they got shafted on this. So some small time, basically like merchant gang boss has like rounded up a bunch of his guys to come and bang down the door over here and demand to know what was going on. And that probably actually passed right. It would only make sense kind of for that to have only passed right through Chocolate Judgment Awareness. So if you guys are watching, then you're eventually going to be able to spot this kind of crowd of probably 25, 30 people. Obviously not dressed in the outfits that are common here, all kind of moving through the crowds, kind of dense enough that they're visibly different from the area around, where most of the streets aren't really super tight or densely populated around here. Like there's usually a lot of room in between everybody, and they're moving over here at a reasonably rapid rate of speed.
I think Dang's getting a little worried at the notion of inciting a riot. He's gonna say, Captain, do you want me down there on the ground just to make sure things don't get too out of hand? Or do you think it's better if we keep a low profile?
Well, I mean, I personally prefer a lower profile just because I'd like to be able to come back here again. It's the only guy that can vaccinate me, as far as I know.
That's fair. Yes, we explicitly established he's the only person who could do that, in fact.
Also, if you joined it would be a Zoot Suit riot, so...
Wow.
Not timely.
Jeez. that reference is cold as the grave.
Grave in which swing music is buried.
Yes. Okay.
I want to argue that on this Earth it came back.
It's everywhere.
Double down.
It was its third renaissance at the time the Earth mysteriously disappeared.
It was just becoming the next big thing.
Yeah, I forgot to put that on the list of facts matter. Somehow that slipped my mind.
Scroll nut zippers cannot catch a break.
Okay. All right. So next up, they're moving in. How do you guys want to proceed?
So, Theron and Molly are just sort of dallying somewhere where we can watch what's going on and wait for the ruckus to start. So, I can get back in the way I came, Captain.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come with me?
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Okay. Climb on my back.
Woohoo!
So with Molly, hanging on to Theron's back, which shouldn't be too hard.
No,
because she's relatively small and
good grips.
He's a big guy. Just same strategy as before: climb up the wall of the adjacent building and then leap across and get in through the bell tower.
Okay. All right. Yep. Like I said, you can still do that just fine. down the stairs to the hallway area. There's all the kind of individual offices lining the side walls, and then the two pathways at the end, where I think we had like two guards situated basically, but way down the way, with pathways that you were able to determine based on a map, basically lead down to a couple things, including a larger chamber that kind of juts out into the other part of the building from here, and that seemed like it was most likely where whatever you're looking for would be found.
Yeah, so my recollection, or it was my understanding, I could be wrong, I might not have understood the description before, was that basically there's the hallway that has the offices on it, and then that tease.
Yep.
And then at the end of the either end of that hallway, there's like doors with two guards each. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't say that clearly, but yes,
no,
that's what
you said. I mean, it was within. I'm just making sure that I've got a good mental image because I'm about to fuck shit up, and I want to make sure that I'm fucking up shit accurately.
That's exactly correct.
So, and no sounds or anything, no suggestion that things have changed since last time I was here. Right?
Nope.
No extra commotion. Okay.
No alarms going off. Nobody running around. None of the doors have changed position since you were here before, so nobody seems to be getting out of them or anything like that.
All right. I will. Do I have a sense of what the level below this is at all?
So based on the, it basically seems like based on the vague map that you were able to get, that so the whole building, right, is, I think I said it's like 4 or 5 stories tall, something like that total. So a big portion of that is a large open kind of like church area, like a big chamber,
vault or sanctuary, whatever.
And then like the back third of the building or something is individual floors. This is the topmost of those individual floors. And then at the end of this that faces into the interior, not the exterior wall, there's basically a section that juts out into the large churchy area, and the chamber that you're looking for is in that. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot other distinct stuff in the kind of space straight vertical from where you are. It seems like a lot of this is all pretty generic-y.
Walk me through what you said about the jutting out part again, Josh. I'm having trouble picturing that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so like if can you see this? Yes. So this is the office-y part, right? And then over here you have the like big churchy part. This is going to make great radio.
Oh yeah.
And you have there's basically, I'm trying to think of like what this would look like, but like if you're in the large churchy area and you look up, there's basically there's what would look like an interior wall that's solid, except for that there's a spot where there's kind of an extruded cube, basically.
Oh yeah. I've actually seen, this is not a completely unfamiliar thing from sacred architecture, actually. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I know I've seen a thing like this, which is what I'm basing it on, but I have literally no idea what it means or what you call it. So I'm trying to pull this back together from like secondhand.
Well, it's sort of like the opposite of a mihrab, right? I mean, it's like instead of an indentation, you have this protrusion.
Yes, it is. That is what it is like.
Like an indoor balcony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a church in Oakland that has something like this, although it's in their social hall, not their sanctuary. Okay, so
then from your side, it's like a room or something that you can get to, and from the church side, it just is a thing in the wall.
Not this level, right?
Down one.
Mm-hmm. So basically, if Theron's perception, I'm not necessarily saying that this is right because I know the map's kind of limited. Theron's perception is that basically past the end of the hallway tees, right? So it's about in the middle. So basically through that wall and down is where the object.
That is exactly correct.
Okay.
That is exactly correct.
Fuck that wall then. Yeah. Theron's going to like pace back to the other end of the hallway near the stairwell. Set himself in a running stance. In fact, I think he's going to be halfway into a crouch, right? So he's going to be down on 3 limbs, his right hand up to fire a couple of quick shots with his plasma pistol at the wall at the far end. And then he's just going to lope for the hole and jump out and try to land on the box.
Is Molly on his back the whole time?
That's your call, Molly.
I mean,
You're your own
She
person.
totally would have been unless Theron was like, I need you to get off for me to be able to do
Oh
this.
no.
Okay, no, then like totally riding the cat.
All right. Okay. Yeah, give me... what's the hard part of this? I mean, shooting through the wall, I think, is basically free. Like, you could just do that. Like, it's not like this is, you have a weapon that will let you do that, so you can just do that. I guess it's some kind of athletics thing, because the goal is basically moving fast enough that nobody can physically stop you from executing this plan, or that anything funky happens in the process of jumping out and going down. So I guess some kind of athletics.
Yeah, and then not missing your landing.
4 plus scale.
Okay. Right. So you can just haul down. You blow up the wall, and it's not too difficult. Like this part here is not really super well enforced or anything. So it just just basically plaster and brick and everything just burst outward from the other side. You run down towards it. Just as you're getting close, a couple of the guards from either side kind of like peek around the corner because they're like, oh, somebody shot something. We should see what's going on. Guns out. And you can basically just clothesline them or kick them or whatever kind of like high velocity thing you want to do. They're just people. So like they're not really going to put up a threat here.
Innocent bystanders.
So they're going to peek around the corner just about the point where Theron is going to go from loping to actually leaping, right? So he's airborne just about as they peek around the corner. So it should be a pretty simple matter with his he's got a pretty wide wingspan to reach out and like grab their collars and slam the heads together as he passes by.
You can totally do that. Okay, and so you leap out. The area in here, you can see there's all kind. You've moved into the large area here, so you can see there's all kinds of seating down below. There's a lot of like really elaborate tapestries that all have kind of different geometrical patterns that all have that logo that I described earlier woven into them in some way. The kind of broken red circle with the white V. There's kind of weird statues and all kinds of other like braziers and all kinds of other pomp and circumstance to just kind of make this place kind of fancily religious. There's probably like 60-ish people who are here in one way or another, mostly pretty instantly startled. It seems like probably somebody was speaking or otherwise churchifying in here, so having somebody burst through the wall.
And now for a moment of silence.
Yeah. let's I think it's got to be something like that. Yeah. So you burst through, people look up, and then there's like the 3-second delay while everybody figures out what's going on, and then everybody starts jumping up and running and screaming while you're able to kind of alight on the top of this outcropping. It's a little, the corners are a little rounded in the way that it sticks out here, but it's still basically a cube, and it's probably like 20 feet in each direction.
Does it have like a glass face?
No, it just looks like a
cube.
wall.
Okay, cool. So I'm on top of the cube, right?
Yep.
Great. Take out the sword, cutting a hole in the top of the cube.
Okay. Does the sword have any special cutting properties? I don't remember.
It does. It's specifically, it's got a +1. It's a better than normal sword, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's probably good enough. It's not anything fancy, but like the wall you burst through, it's like kind of a normal brick, type thing. This is steel reinforced, so it's some work. You're opening a tight can here, so you chunk it in. You're kind of peeling through. Sparks are shooting out and everything. But it's not too difficult. By the time that you get it done, more security guards have started gathering in the area below with like rifles and stuff. So they're starting to open fire on you. So you probably want to move quick.
Sure. So I'll make as much haste as I can. Captain, if you want to dismount and crouch behind me as much as possible, that might be advisable.
Sounds good.
Captain, do let me know if you need the distraction escalated at any point.
Theron, how we doing?
Most of the way through, I don't think it would be a bad idea to have more distractions.
All right, sounds good. So Josh, I think I'm on the ground with my cloak on around my face so that nobody can recognize my mech. I'm gonna go ahead and is the roof of the churchy area, like, is that different than the roof to the rest of that building?
No, the roof is all kind of the same.
So there's a bunch of floors between the top of the roof and the church area.
No, the big open area is just the roof is the only ceiling above it.
Okay, so I can break through that if I need to?
Yes, you could definitely break through that if you need to.
All right. I would definitely like to break through that and, cause a distraction from the ceiling.
Okay.
When I can get over there.
Yeah, I think I'll maybe I'll be there with you.
Okay, so
I can totally drop you
so that everybody's in the roughly the same place.
So what you're basically going to see on your way in is this crowd that kind of got summoned up by Cidra's manipulations earlier, basically kind of coming up to the big door of the place and starting to bang on it. Basically, most of these people they all look, they're all kind of shady low-life types to some degree or another. They're all visibly armed in one way or another, although not in any type of really, consistent way. And they're just kind of, right now they're just banging on the door, kind of being like, hey, we're going to come in and cause some trouble for you guys. So you can see them doing that when you get up over the roof, and are you just going to dive right in?
I don't know, like, it would be cool if Dang can, like, create a force field and, like, the force field breaks through. And then, we're kind of hovering there looking heroic. And then I throw Dang at Molly so that he can put a shield up there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be the best way for me to get in the same general area.
And how are you... So what are you going to actually do to break the ceiling then?
It depends on how, heavy it is. If I can just bust through with the force field, that's cool. Otherwise, I'll shoot my rifle at it until it breaks and then fly through.
You should be able to fly through at high velocity.
I can also probably do a more surgical quantum bolt to open up a hole of the right size without causing too much structural damage.
Okay, you can do that. Let's make it clean.
Yeah.
Clean and surprising.
I'm gonna roll for that, or?
Yeah, give me a roll.
Let's see. Might, aim, and quantum bolt. The two dots are for scale, right? No, hold on. My bolt is +1 scale. Let's do might and aim. Oh, and I have a marksman trick that I think would come into play here. Okay, so I got a 9, 2 zeros, and that's it. No ones.
That's 5.
Yeah, that should be plenty. So, yeah, you can basically, with one tentacle, kind of cut a perfectly circular kind of shape into the roof, which, the shape itself will kind of glow brightly for a second, and then as soon as it fades out, you kind of hear that rumbling, and as the piece starts to, basically disconnect from the ceiling proper and fall inward.
Actually, is that enough successes to make the hole exactly Munin shaped?
That should be fine.
Okay.
Yes,
Let's do that.
Fine. Okay. Yep. So you got a hole.
Very discreet.
Which I fly through at a rapid pace. And then we come to a sudden stop where I'm hovering above the crowd.
Okay, so just in terms of kind of working out the time frame here, what I'm going to say is, based on where we were, you basically, Theron, see that something's going on with the ceiling or the roof like this right before you kind of get access, and I think you were going to basically just move in as quickly as possible, right? Or
Right, I just want to cut in, drop down, steal the artifact / kill anybody who's in the way of me stealing the artifact, and then leave.
Okay. All right, so you drop in, and basically the second you kind of pass into this area, you feel yourself basically in what seems like complete sensory deprivation.
Oh.
It's not a big space, right? So it can't, if it was normal, light would just come in, and even if it had been dark before, you'd be able to see it just fine. But what you get is basically, absence of light, sound muffles to almost nothing. You kind of alight on something which seems like a floor, and you can kind of, it feels just kind of like a flat surface, but it's hard to get any other information, even with kind of the senses that you have. So for, maybe 3 seconds or something, it just seems completely like that. And then you basically hear a sound from what seems like a medium distance, but it's hard to really locate it. Kind of like dried paper rustling and crumpling.
Okay.
It's kind of,
Mummies.
Why did it have to be mummies?
Yeah, it's got a mummy-esque quality, certainly.
So if Molly puts on her goggles and flicks them to the Akashic spectrum, does anything change?
That's a good question. Yeah, you probably get, so the senses would still be kind of deadened here, so it's not like you flip that on, you get to see, but what it does do is it kind of lets you orient. You can both kind of get a general sense of the exterior of this effect, which, it's this cube section basically plus another, bit maybe twice as long as that actually goes back into the building proper, so probably about 60 feet long by 20 by 20. And also, give you a way to kind of identify where the signal that you originally spotted is. So you can kind of see that, as if it was like a faint light or something. And normally, with any of this Akashic stuff, there's kind of like there's a weird, if you're looking at it with the goggles, there's kind of a weird, coloration thing that's going on. It's not quite like you would expect normal visibility, but the light that you get glowing off of this is just a very clear, dull red.
Okay. So Molly's she's behind Theron at this point. So she's going to kind of flail out until she grabs, hopefully it's an arm, possibly a tail.
It's, and the thing that you're looking for is basically towards the middle of this long room. So you're probably about, you would guess, again, trying to read it here, again, it's hard to get a good sense, but if you had to guess, it's probably about 20-ish feet from where you are.
Okay. So she's going to take hold of Theron and just sort of lead them closer to this red light.
Okay.
All right. Theron is bristling. You can feel the way that his fur shifts under your hand. It's not a comfortable situation for him, but he follows your instructions, reaching out with his hands, sort of groping his way towards where the object is supposed to be.
As you walk towards it, the rustling starts to get a little louder and a little more frequent, just kind of and as you step closer and closer towards it, there's a couple things that you experience. One, each step starts to get more difficult. Like it kind of feels like you're walking through water or something almost, just like the resistance of the air, basically. And two, once you get more than about kind of halfway to it, you start to at first you almost don't notice it, and then it starts to get more obvious, feeling these little things, like these little kind of almost pinprick sensations in different places. Once on your leg, and then once on your arm, once on your neck.
Oh, this is going to be bad.
It's something that kind of reminds you of a bug bite, but as they start to get again more and more prevalent, each one starts to sting a little more, and you can't see them, but you can tell as they kind of become more noticeable that each one, it's not getting one spot, it's two.
Oh, spider bites.
So little tiny, and you don't feel anything else. You don't feel like there's something on you or something. It just kind of feels like the air itself is biting you, basically, as you move towards it.
So if we talk, can we hear each other?
Right. Also, can we hear them on the radio?
You cannot hear them on the radio. They're on, as soon as they go in, basically, they disappear from radio contact. At the point that you guys are close to each other, probably you can you can probably get a little muffled sense that sound is happening, but probably not well enough to really communicate in detail.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that is terrifying. Okay, so
I think you need to get me in there.
So we've established sight just doesn't work.
Yep.
Touch is all messed up. Sound is mostly gone. Scent?
Good question. Scent is probably scent is probably pretty okay. So in terms of like the impression, you get, basically kind of a mixture of blood and fire. That's probably not too weird or surprising. But there's also, back to the sound that I described earlier, there's also a very, like when I say fire, there's a few different things that could kind of mean, but the very specific sense you get is like if somebody, when somebody, like goes to start a fire and they get a whole bunch of newspaper and they use that as kindling, and the way that it smells at that moment as opposed to like once it's been burning for a while, that's exactly what it smells like.
Burning paper.
Burning paper.
Okay.
Can Theron smell our blood from these pricks?
Yes. I mean, there's another blood smell too, but you can...
Right.
You can tell that you each are both bleeding a small amount, basically.
Okay, so Molly has like a hand on Theron's shoulder or whatever, and is sort of like pushing. So Theron is going to use one hand to hold Molly's arm and try to kind of make sure that she can come along with him at his pace.
Okay.
Because he's pretty confident that of the two of them, he can move faster in this than she can.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And then he's going to move as fast as he possibly can, given the limitations of the situation, since he can smell that they're bleeding.
Okay. And you're basically just going to charge kind of right at it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's cut away again for a quick second. So out in the broader area, you have just burst in, Moonin.
Mm-hmm.
So all the people with the rifles immediately, they're already out and firing, so they train those on you. So we're going to get an attack with 5 successes coming in on you from just kind of random plasma rifle fire.
Okay. My defense is 3, so...
So, absent anything else, then you're going to take 2 fatigue. Is that what it's called? I'm losing the word here. Yeah.
Stress. My armor
Stress,
is
yeah.
4?
Oh, armor is 4? Okay, then then you're fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Then you're fine. That takes care of it. And so then you're going to, at this point, since they've already seen that something's happening, people have started to come in from somewhere else to kind of try to more aggressively deal with the situation. So you see a couple of the people in the actual kind of cathedral uniform that you were, that we were talking about before, like actual like ridiculous robes and shit, come in, and they kind of start looking up at you. And, if you get a moment to look, you can see that like the parts of their body that are exposed, their hands and their face, are each kind of basically coated by a thin layer of ice. And so one of them, basically points his hand at you. And, so what defense, kind of motion-based would you have?
Motion-based defense?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the stat names are here. It's
Oh, okay.
Do you still have a hold of me? I don't think we've.
Yeah, I haven't tossed yet. I haven't had an opportunity to.
Yeah, so I can put up a force field once guns come out.
Yeah, so basically somebody's essentially, casting a freeze spell or something here. So there's something moving through space physically between this magician and you, but
This strange magician.
It's not something that armor is going to help with. So either you have to move out of the way.
So it would be agility plus finesse.
Yeah,
I would think.
Yes, or you have to do something that will actually blockade it from even reaching you. One or the other.
Hey, I've got these 3 dots of absorption that I don't think I've ever used.
Do it. Use it. I'd rather not move. I kind of want to stand my ground here.
Does it seem like this is an energy that I
mean, it's energy, it's energy. It's a magic ice spell. So like that's
okay.
As much energy as anything ice related is going to be at least. So are you just kind of like, how are you getting in the way of the actual like the shot?
I can ask Roweth to. I can say like, let me get this one.
Just like hold you in front of me, like like a teddy bear or something.
Yeah, like a Reuben shield.
All right.
Okay. So he holds you out. I think there's. Do Did we establish that there was a dice roll associated with that or not? I don't remember. I think we talked about yes.
Yeah. Spend 1 glory and roll the selected attribute and skill for defense. It says e.g. vitality plus integrity. For each success, prevent 1 damage, and for each 2 damage prevented, gain a +1 enhancement to rolls for the specified attribute to a limit of 5 for the remainder of the scene.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so roll it.
All right. Vitality, integrity. That's 5, 6, and in integrity 3. 7 and above, right?
Yep, and 0s are 2.
Yeah.
And 1s don't do anything. Don't worry about them.
Okay, just 2 successes then.
Okay.
I don't think I have any. Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't add anything to the absorption.
So you basically you feel this hit you. You immediately.
With the three dots of absorption, did I need to roll those?
Yes.
In addition to
you do.
Oh, okay. All right. I got 3 more to roll at. Nothing.
Okay.
Oh well.
Yeah. Okay. So then you basically you kind of feel it hit you, and it's just this like absolute burst of like the most like bracing cold that you can remember in your life. And this is probably, I'm familiar with you, you haven't ever like absorbed cold before, so it's like a little weird. Like it's kind of like, I guess for you, it's kind of like trying a new food.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of the kind of effect of like if somebody gives you something weird and complicated to eat and they're like eat it really fast, like you're going to screw up, you're going to get some all over your chin, it's going to be a big mess. That's basically what happens here. So it hits you, you're able to suck in a portion of this, you get the +1 to vitality from that, so that's all dice rolls for the rest of the scene or whatever. And basically kind of like at the spot where you're getting held, this thin but tough like kind of layer of ice forms around Munin's fingers and your torso. So like,
okay.
Basically the mech's mobility is not really affected, but it's going to be an action if he wants to let go of you, because you're kind of frozen in.
Okay.
Okay.
So I kind of took the cinnamon challenge here.
Yes. yeah, you did. I see Cidra.
Yeah, so I think I'm gathering from just the sounds of blasts and uneven communication over the comms that things are going a little
pear-shaped.
Yeah.
A little gamma.
Yeah. And so what do things look like outside in terms of both riot and cathedral presence?
Okay, so in terms of the riot, people are have started moving to like actively like basically taking axes and stuff to the door. They're in the process of breaking in. In most normal circumstances, somebody would have come and dealt with them here from like inside, but obviously with all the shooting and everything, that's not happening. So they're getting impatient. They're just kind of trying to bust their way in. From elsewhere, from the main cathedral and from elsewhere in the zone, you see more kind of guards and archmages of various descriptions kind of like hauling in to kind of try to deal with the situation. There's probably like 4 or 5 groups of those at various different points, distant, all moving, all convening on, this corner section area, basically.
Okay. This might be a bad idea, but I'm going to try it. So Cidra's been waiting in the tailor shop after the boys left, and sort of amping up and managing the riot situation. At one point she steps into the dressing room and then steps out in the full robes of the Ardori Inner Treasury.
Oh god. Okay.
She leaves 5,000 motes with the tailor or the clerk or whoever's attending, and then steps out the door and calmly heads off to find the highest ranked authority figure she can.
You step out, we get like a camera linger in the shop as you kind of head off, and the tailor basically is kind of, pocketing the money and goes, it's funny, that's the second one of those we've had to do this week.
Oh.
You really set me up on that one. I had to duck in.
Oh dear.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to find an authority figure and just approach very calmly.
Okay, what level of authority figure are you talking? I mean, it's a church hierarchy, so there's a lot of levels. So, like, vaguely, where are you aiming here? Like, ground level manager or what?
Probably, and I imagine that some of them are just sort of milling about, so I'm going to say the highest one I can see.
Okay. You can probably identify somebody who's, like, in charge in one of these smaller buildings outside of the central area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so some reasonably competent and empowered middle manager.
Okay.
Who's got some kind of, identified, like, random sigil bullshit on their neck or something that's, like, identifying them here. And they get to wear a special hat, Like,
That's good. Someone who appreciates special hats.
Their hat is special because it's slate gray, so that's, not everybody gets to do slate gray.
Yeah.
That might be how you identify them, as just the tallest hat you can find.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm just going to approach him very calmly and just say, "Excuse me?"
He, turns to basically give you a rude response and then notices the outfit that you're wearing and kind of stops for a second.
My name is Miss Webb, and you clearly have a problem here that I have to look into.
Problem? We don't.
I'm going to need access to your systems. All of your systems.
He kind of looks at you like, I think everything is fine. We'll have to speak to the church hierarchy about
Do I need to show
of...
you your numbers? She pulls out a data pad and, like, brings up the items in question and all of the fluctuations and just, like, rapidly scrolls through them.
I assume it's all, like, bright reds and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, he gulps a little at that. He goes,
I'm on your side here. I am not here to cause trouble. I need to sort this out, and you need this sorted out because people are literally breaking down your doors, and also, I am only the first one here.
He does a little mental calculation on that. You kind of have gotten him over the line there a little bit, and he kind of leads you into the nearby building. So this one is a little bit more stark than the Chocolate Judgment Awareness. Kind of wood panel walls, and he kind of takes you through a couple twists and turns to basically. A place where there is what looks to be like an old kind of like retro computing device, like something that in galaxy terms would be kind of thousands of years old, which is sitting on a desk, completely powered off, not connected to anything. he kind of gestures. He goes, "This is. Here you go."
I turn it on.
It doesn't turn on. It's not connected to anything.
I just look at him.
He takes like a long second to see like how well he's going to get away with this, and then finally he sighs and he kind of bangs on the wall, and basically like a really eager intern comes in from somewhere else, and this person goes over and sits down in front of this computing type device and basically starts like entering weird stuff into it, as if it was on, and just kind of using these like 3 or 4 different strange interfaces to kind of push different buttons and draw different little patterns or something. And as that happens, it starts to like glow a little bit, and kind of the screen display turns on, or something happens where you can see stuff on it, but it doesn't really look like it should when it's turned on. So basically the guy is kind of putting the magic juju into it and activating it, because it's like it's a magically significant thing because it's like so old, or presumably there's some way that it's significant to somebody in whatever way, but you don't really care about that. You just care that these guys have this dumb, obnoxious, magical system to access even their basic financials or anything, because they're dumb, magical people. So the guy finally does all this, and then you have kind of this device that, is broadly speaking, usable and broadly speaking connected into their systems.
Okay.
The intern just kind of stands there and he goes, "So I'm right here. If you need anything, I don't know if you've used one of these before. It's a little bit unusual to get started, but I can help you out. I mean, I've been training for some time, so I'll be right here." He kind of sits down with a cup of coffee or something like it, and just kind of starts sipping it.
Good, thank you. I need you to stay. I need everyone else to leave, and no one else comes in here.
You to stay, being the intern.
Yeah.
And so the boss guy kind of hears you say all that, and he kind of nods, and he doesn't start to leave.
You know who I work for, correct?
Oh, you also met me.
Yes.
He goes.
Like
the time he was really just like, well, I'm not a person, I'm an important person. That's different. Like,
yeah. So I'm, well, I guess I'm going to start seeing if I can figure out any way to access the security stuff.
Okay. Okay. You're gonna get started on that. We're gonna cut back over again. So Theron and Molly are in the dark area. You're just really trying to like move at like at the top possible speed to get over to this thing, right?
Right.
And
Heisman basically, right? Just pressing forward with one arm out.
And so just so I'm clear beforehand, like what do you want to do when you get to it? And I can kind of narrate for the whole thing. But.
My goal is to get to the object, hopefully get a hold of the object, and then we leave.
Okay. So you start moving at a high speed. Your arm is out, and Molly, you can kind of tell by feel a little bit that Theron's arm is out, and also that it's like a little bit off, because again, you can kind of see where the thing is.
Right.
So if you want to kind of do anything, you're going to kind of have to maybe guide his hand a little bit here if you want him to be able to actually get it.
That's a feeling he's probably familiar with at this point. It's not usually me, but...
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you're charging forward. The feeling and the kind of little bites like start multiplying immensely as you're getting further in. You're moving at the absolute top speed that you can, but they still get to the point where they're searing pain. Each of you are kind of feeling this, and it doesn't really seem like it's anything. You're bleeding a little bit, but you don't feel like you're getting injured, if that makes sense. Like it really is more about that it hurts than anything else. And just before you kind of get to the spot where you're looking, you kind of feel almost like you're crashing, like your outstretched hand kind of almost feels like it's like crashing into a wall, or more accurately, like it's crashing into like something like a giant plate glass window. So you kind of feel something hard that then shatters under the force of this like movement that you're making, and then as you start moving through it, there's just like a wave of like even greater than anything up till now, just a burning, painful sensation as you push through it. But as you move through, like each part of you as it's through, it stops basically. And so you plow through. Each of you just kind of gets this burning, cutting, painful feeling as you kind of pop through, and then you come in on the other side. And the second that you're through, all of the biting stops. You can see just fine. And when I say you can see just fine, you can see the whole room now. It's not like there was a dark area that you were in. Like you can now just see everything. The whole area is plated with kind of white stone, very low key, almost nothing of interest or significance here. And at the center, there's basically kind of a museum case with a little pillar, and on it is sitting this little object. So it's basically one reddish stone. It's kind of a little smaller than a basketball. And it's basically carved to have basically to look like a mass of tiny snakes. And you can see, looking at it, that it's not static. It's clearly made of stone, but all of the snakes are kind of writhing and slithering over each other. And, from somewhere inside it, there's kind of... the stone itself is red, and then there's also kind of a red glow from inside that kind of comes out at different spots where basically the mass, opens up enough for something to come through.
So Molly goes, "Oh, snake bites."
Yeah. Yeah, so there's some kind of stuff around it. A few small, low tables where people could put or work on stuff here around this. Some, leftover scrap paper or something. There is actually a key to the case sitting here. So...
it's a bit redundant now.
I mean, it's literally it's a museum case. It's not like you just went through the high security part of it. This is just glass. You could just smash it. So it's just a question of whether you prefer to just unlock it nicely. It's at that point the security part is already kind of out the door already at this point. And this is I guess where you'd find the label that it is called the Eye of Abholos, and that's ABHOLOS.
And there's no physical or visual indication of that line, right? The line between crazy security field and not. Okay.
No visible indication whatsoever.
Okay, so Theron will lift his outstretched arm to smash the case open, but I'm going to give you a beat, Casey, if you want to quickly unlock and remove the item before he does that for comedic purposes.
Let's do that. I think... less damage is better.
I think character-wise, that's the way that should play. So yeah, I'm into that. Okay, so you lift your arm up. Molly grabs the key and kind of unlocks it quick. Okay, it's there.
Okay, so you have the eye of creepiness, right?
Yeah, sure. I'll grab it. So her nanobot hand will reach for it just in case all the sneaks.
That's a good choice. You are pretty confident that it would be very, once you pick it up with the nano hand, you're pretty confident it would be very painful to hold this with, a person hand.
Yeah.
But it does, at least so far, it doesn't seem to be doing anything disruptive enough that the nano hand isn't in trouble.
Okay.
So we can carry it just fine.
All right. So, yeah, it's sort of like balancing a bet. So, incidentally, are Theron and Molly bleeding, or was that...
No, you are bleeding.
Oh, okay.
That's
right.
No, if you are bleeding.
So we do have
it's not a lot,
right.
These are all they are like snake bites, they're little puncture wounds. So
right.
There's some blood because they went into the skin enough, but you haven't been slashed or torn or anything. So it's just you got bitten by something in a bunch of spots, and now you have little spots of blood.
Right. Okay.
Unpleasant, but not deadly.
The question is whether or not it's poisonous.
That is a good question, yes. That you do not have an answer for yet.
I feel like maybe we should visit the flower doctor guy again once all this is sorted. But for now, Theron, what do you say we get out of here?
That sounds like an excellent idea. So we turn around and go the way we came.
If we try to do the security effects activate again? Or now that we've got the thing, it doesn't care?
No, it seems like you're fine.
Like that effect is centered on the artifact?
Something like that, yeah.
And probably somehow linked to the dimensions of the room because, well, we'll see what happens when we take it out of the room, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It spills out and puts a sensory nullification field at a certain distance from us, and then beyond that, then we'll know.
So you guys are starting to head out. Let me cut back over to Raleth and
Dang.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you just got frozen to Moonen's hand.
We are now joined at the hand.
I can probably just do a little warm up, take an action
yeah,
to
just
do
You could get out. It's just going to take you an action. That's all.
Some lights and effects,
just
like
special
spotlights
effects?
and laser blasts and something that looks nice and holy.
Well. Fire and fury I can do, but I don't know about the divine whatnots.
It's all right. Just make it look cool.
Well, okay, I can. All right, it's been a little while, but so Dang does his one artistic effect trick that he learned of making wings out of light.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like that Dang is reticent here because like it's basically asking him to do his old job that he's embarrassed of. It's like I did this whole angel thing already. Like I've moved past that in my career.
And I'm gonna go ahead and extend Moonin's wings out. And I'm gonna use my edge. Truth is not belief. And with my loudspeaker, I'm going to say, "People of the Citadel or the Cathedral."
Cathedral.
I actually correct myself that way. You have failed your first test of faith. We are disappointed. Today could have been a day of renaissance, of change, and yet you have squandered it. Bow, kneel before me, and take your penance. And I'll stand there floating with the lasers and stuff with Dang frozen to my fingers.
So what does the edge do exactly?
It gives me a 2 scale to my persuasion checks.
Okay, let's get a roll then.
This desk is too small.
Dang adds on. Yeah, bad. Very bad.
7? 7 plus my scale.
When you did this bit before, you never had to talk, so...
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
He would just shake a tentacle menacingly.
I mean, if you want, I can add on some intimidation here.
So the number one effect here, because there's kind of like 3 categories of people here, right? There's the ice guys who came in to actually like directly target you. There's the general purpose security goons with like guns and everything. Then there's all the people who are just actually like around and in place. And we're kind of like running around like crazy. So as you do this, basically, I'm going to say that about that moment is basically when the riders are able to burst in through the door. And so basically you see almost all the like kind of regular people who are here, whether or not they like buy what you're selling exactly, like it's in their language kind of enough that their instinct really kicks in, right? Like they're like, it's not gonna, it's better to kind of go with this and see where this is going. So you get a lot of people who kind of drop to their knees, who like get, put their heads down, including them, a pretty, a chunk of the security guards. The guys at the front of the riot group kind of pull up short when they come in and they see this is going on, like kind of like, what, wait, what? This is not like, there's a big hole in the ceiling and these like, angelic beings are kind of floating over the group. So they kind of burst through the door and then they kind of stop and they're looking up at you too.
This is very unorthodox.
And Moonin is still in the cloak, right?
Yeah. So nobody can recognize him.
Yep. And, yeah, so basically everybody but the 2 ice guys is broadly speaking kind of incapacitated here.
Cool. It worked, Dang. It worked.
Well done.
Dang curls up a little tentacle and gives him a little fist bump on the giant finger.
So let's cut back over to Cidra for a second.
Okay. So I am trying to get into as much of the security systems as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. What? That's fine. What are you trying to like? What are you looking to do specifically?
Probably my first order of business. Like I'd say I have 3 orders of business. Step 1 is to reroute whatever security personnel I can to other places, like riot areas or just the far side.
Mm-hmm.
Secondary is to shut down any sort of weird other trap systems that I might be able to locate. And then tertiary, burn all security footage from this period.
Okay. Yeah, so the third one you can definitely do. That's not going to be a big problem. The big thing that you notice when you kind of get access to this, and given, I don't think it really makes a lot of sense to roll here because given kind of the pitch that you came in here on, like they're kind of just trying to help you like address this. The biggest thing that you notice is that there's a big alarm centered on chocolate judgment awareness, but there is also an equally large one focused on blood-bird awareness.
Mm.
And it's, as best as you can tell, like it's completely independent. Like somebody filed a separate report or whatever.
Are there cameras in there or anything?
There's probably something. I mean, cameras, right? Like these are the magic guys. So like there are little, there are, there are little,
eyes.
Scrying devices.
Yeah, I was going to say, palantirs, but maybe I shouldn't get in trouble with the copyright people. So, there are little off-bred palantirs in various places that you can kind of, you basically have to touch the screen and then you can, you see kind of a map and you can see it and you kind of touch it and then you can kind of get a sense of seeing through it. So you're going to do that?
Yes.
Okay. You find a few that, and I assume you're just going to kind of try to step through them to figure out what's going on. You find a few that don't seem like there's that much going on. You find a few where people are kind of running around like they're looking like they're trying to address, an ongoing issue. You kind of poke around a little bit more. You find one that looks into this laboratory where there's a big kind of smashed, like, terrarium type thing, maybe about 6 feet to a side. There's like a mixture of 20-ish like magical scientists and guards and various other types of people who've all been efficiently murdered and left in various parts of the room. And there's various kind of things that are set up to be like sensors, and there's these like weird kind of like lamps where these like strange different colors of fire are burning, and there's these big lenses that were kind of all focusing them down in towards this kind of terrarium-y space. So it's like a red and a green and a blue, and they're all kind of pointing. And but here, whatever happened here is over, and you can kind of continue to tab around a little bit, following the trail of murder and everything until basically you can get to a hallway where what you see is a very quick moving. I'm forgetting the fucking name already. But, I mean, you can figure it out. It's Nasir. She is using 3 blades in 3 of her limbs, basically, to kill an extremely large number of people who are blocking her. And the 4th one, she's holding a giant golden egg, which she is currently attempting to move out of the... So she's escaping with that. And so they're basically throwing bodies at her, trying to keep that from happening.
Morgan. She's a Morgan.
Morgan, yes, thank you. So that kicked off very slightly later than what you guys were doing, and so that's already pulling a certain portion of the security response.
Oh, good.
If possible, I'm going to make sure it pulls a lot more of the security response.
Okay, can do. All right, yeah, you can kind of move it around and basically up the alarms on that one and kind of lower the severity on the other one. And that isn't even really going to particularly come off as suspicious to anybody unless they look at this like much later. They're just like, oh, like this is the one where the big problem is we all have to move everybody over to there. Yeah, so you can kind of cut off to a trickle any actual security response to the building that these guys are all in.
Okay, she's going to make some, like, concerned hmms and take out her data pad and text a description of that to Molly and Roleth.
Okay. Molly and Roleth, you get a little...
That's rugged, Vin.
Eyes on the prize.
You get a notice. You get a text about...
Oh, thanks, Random Morgit, for being very murdery.
Grand Theft Egg.
Golden egg.
Yep. So with that, let's cut back to Theron and Molly.
Okay, so yes.
So you guys are basically just going to go up through the hole that you came in through, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
probably invite Molly to climb on my back again and then just jump up through the hole.
Okay. So for everybody who is out in the large church area when this happens, so the effect that these guys went through, that was, you'll kind of realize was kind of mediated or controlled by, like, the space was designed to take advantage of that, to have it give itself its own security system, right? So that effect isn't just automatically around it at all times. Instead, there's just, you come up and the glow from inside kind of gets brighter. So there's this combination of these like kind of like almost disco ball like red lights moving across things, just because the pattern's constantly shifting. So it's not like there's a steady red glow. There's a red glow that's leaving oddly colored spots on everything. And kind of this like miasma, the smell that you mentioned earlier, or that I mentioned earlier, kind of spreads out to everybody. So everybody starts to get that burning paper smell now. And yeah, and it's very distracting, obviously. So the ace guys kind of swivel and turn to see what is going on there. Okay, yeah. So I laid out the picture of what's going on in here, so you guys kind of have that now. You see Moonin and Dang doing the thing that they're doing. All the guys down below. What do you want to do now?
Once I see them emerge, and once I see that the ice guys don't seem to be playing game, don't seem to be following suit, I'll point to them and say, "Those guys, they're false prophets. They've led you astray."
Okay.
Do you want to roll for that?
Yeah, give me a roll.
Let's see. Presence? Persuasion?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. I have the trick convincing. Let's see what that might be. Oh, wait. Okay, there it is. The character is particularly convincing when she wants to be. Whenever the character attempts an action to sway another person's emotions, such as a performance, add your persuasion skill to the dice pool. Isn't that what?
Yeah, so in that case, but if it's already a persuasion roll, then you do persuasion times 2, basically. Which just means look at what your persuasion score is, add that many dice.
Okay, so 5 more.
Dang's got to be like a high point in the ratio of how persuasive he is to how little he is unable to speak in terms of characters that we've had.
Yeah. So 6 successes.
Okay. They're not going to stick around to find out how well that works. You sound convincing enough that they're just like, fuck this, I'm out of here. They just duck out.
I'm going to deal with the golden egg.
Yep. Yeah, they're like, I'll just go get killed by a chinchilla instead. That sounds better at the moment.
So, I mean, can we just, like, grab hold of Munion's ankles and leave?
You are pretty much set to do that, if that's what you want to try to do here.
Theron?
I'm sorry, Munion can't haul all 4 of us, right?
That's up to Josh. Giant Catman might be tough.
I mean, based on the size, like, it depends on, I guess it depends on what kind of distance we're talking about. Like, if you literally mean, like, you want to go out through the hole in the ceiling and, like, disembark somewhere, like, nearby on the street, I think that's probably doable.
I mean, he hauled a Wemmick. I don't know that we're cumulatively the weight of a Wemmick.
Oh, yeah, that guy was pretty big.
He was a rhino.
Rhino Wemmick.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied that I can... Theron has a pretty good exit strategy here, because, it's just a 1-floor jump to get back to the hole in the wall. And then there's at most 4 guards there, or 2 guards there if they're still there. That's not like an impediment.
Yep.
So
it's very unlikely those guards are there now at this point.
So we have the thing. So, and Molly, you climbed up on Theron's back too.
Right.
So I think Theron looks, sees what's going on. They're just like, okay, that's cool. Turns around, jumps back through the hole, starts going back out the way he came in.
Okay.
Okay, so you, Rowlith and Dang, you see them kind of going back in. You know that that's how they came in through, so you assume that they're probably covered there.
Okay.
We'll give them a beat, to kind of, get a little bit further. And then, I guess with Dang still frozen to my hands, I'm going to slowly rise out through the hole that he made for me, with saying something along the lines of this is failure number. This is the second failure of my followers. There will only be the chance for one more. I will return in 500 years. Look for me then. And then I slowly leave.
Okay.
I'm needed on my home planet.
So you raise up, you get up out to the roof. I'm trying to decide on the order of this. Yeah, okay, that'll happen second. Okay, you get up, out onto the roof, basically just in time to see a giant explosion rip off a huge portion of the wall of Bloodbird
establishment
kind of across the way, and then to see what basically looks like a powered, solar like jet glider of some kind with a Morgan on it holding a giant golden egg, basically glide out from the spot blown up in the wall and start rapidly moving way off to the horizon.
Hey guys, is that golden egg something we're interested in? I have no idea what it is.
It's a big golden egg, I mean,
it looks valuable, but I don't know what's valuable anymore.
It does look valuable. It is literally made of gold.
What do we need? I mean, what are we gonna do? Sell it for money?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, all the treasure calculations on this group are very different from what I'm used to.
I don't see any of that, right?
You do not see any of that because you went the other way.
Someone had an exit strategy.
Yeah. We'll totally describe this to you later. Yeah, we absolutely describe this to you later, and you can shake your furry fists at the luck.
Josh is very
It's just too funny. Okay. So that happened. You're up on the roof. Shortly afterwards, Theron and Molly arrive to just see you standing there looking at the giant hole that's been blown out of the other building. You want to say anything?
Yeah, so job well done. You guys get it?
Molly, I mean, she's still got the thing sort of in her nanobot hand, sort of held away from her body.
Yeah, she holds up the obvious evil artifact that she's picked up there, which is impossible to miss because of the sensory effects that it has on everything. So yes, she got it.
So at that point, there's sort of a moment of quiet, and so she notices that Cidra had sent her this video file. So she opens it up, and she's kind of like, huh, well, that was convenient.
Wait, you think Jackalope put him up to it?
I mean, maybe they sure didn't do anything else.
I don't know much about Jackalope. Was that Jackalope?
No, that was a Morgan, I think.
Yeah, that seemed too small to be Jackalope.
What?
So while you guys are arguing, you suddenly hear a loud, kind of, very authoritative sounding female voice that basically just says, Raleth, the worm of Evark 16.
Hey, no one's allowed to call me that.
Okay, so you say that?
Yeah.
Okay. From basically, so you guys are on the roof. Basically, on one side, you see rise up the form of Hugin, the other matching mech, basically, which is holding a large, giant, novelty-sized piece of paper.
Oh,
and
no.
You hear
no.
Elif Persephone's voice say, you have been served.
God damn it.
Oh, no.
I'll see you in court. She drops it and flies off.
I go grab the paper.
Yep.
I roll it up.
Yep.
I'll look at it later.
Yep.
I should have known better.
So you've been served.
All right. Sorry, guys. I might have to involve you in this. You're gonna be witnesses for one side or the other. It's I don't know what. Anyways, we should probably get off this roof, right?
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Also, I'd like to do something with this writhing ball of snake and lights.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. What about a Morgit?
Oh, the
Oh,
one
I don't know.
there.
Yeah, some video of like some wargate that killed a bunch of guards and I think stole an egg, a golden egg, right from over there. Kind of points to
Flew
where the
off that
gaping
way.
hole is.
The point where the glider went, or he, I guess. I don't know what sex it was. I can't tell with chinchillas.
Did not take a specialty in chinchilla sexing.
It's in the ear tufts. he snatches the data pad out of Molly's hand quite rudely, and like is pecking at it until eventually it plays the file, and then he just shakes with rage and turns his head skyward and says, "There is you!"
God, you totally got claw marks all over my data pad.
I assume that's someone you know?
Yeah, it's there's some issues and feelings there.
She is the most evil Morgate in all of space.
I mean, that's not saying much.
So when things have quieted down a little, but not a lot, preferably while there's still some rioting going on, Cidra will finish up what she's doing and shut down the console and just like start walking and talking and assume that the intern is going to follow her.
Okay.
So I've recalibrated your databases. As I'm sure you know, there is a component in the structure of the mode that is mystical in nature. It's a very complicated structure, and she lectures for several minutes but does not stop walking at any point, and at no point looks back or at this guy. And so she goes on to say, so the problem is that you have so many artifacts here that they exert a sort of mystical gravity, and they're too close to your servers. So they're pulling your financial systems out of whack. So what you have to do is either recalibrate your servers on a weekly basis or move them to a different part of the facility, or you're going to keep getting riots. And she just will keep talking until, and not looking back until she is out of the entire place.
Yeah.
And then just disappear into a crowd.
Okay. Yeah, he's basically following you, taking notes the whole time. And then he turns back with this big, basically sheaf of papers about all the bullshit that you've just spewed to go back and bring it back to his boss.
Tremendously accurate bullshit, I might add.
Okay.
All right, we're getting off the roof.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's get back to the bar. What was it called? The Last Stand?
No,
The Findun
No,
Emperor.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
The planet is the last resort.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you come back to the bar. It's a little more active than you remembered. Just more people seem to be here at the moment. You know, and there's no real pursuit or anything at this point. Like, once you guys are out of there, it's not real a problem for you guys to get away and kind of ditch anybody who's actively trying to hunt you down and get over here to the bar. So you're all just going to walk in as a group, I assume?
Oh, I'm sure I'm filtering in separately.
Okay. So who is with Ralef?
Probably the rest of us.
Probably
Yeah,
everybody else?
I think the four of us enter together. It's just Cidra who's been off doing something separate.
Okay. As you come in, there's a bunch of people all kind of around. You have to kind of push past a bar area, like an area on the central bar, basically, where people are seated in high seats and everything there, to get to anywhere else. And one of them kind of swivels around. There's just a rounded, purplish gray hippopotamus sloth person with horrible flip sunglasses.
Oh shit.
Kind of looks up, flips them open, points a finger. I'm watching you.
Enjoy the show.
Flips them closed again, turns around, picks up a ridiculously fruity drink and starts sipping on it.
I love this place.
Oh, man.
Okay. So you guys probably want to meet back up with the new wave?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, they've got a booth off to the side somewhere. They have basically brought, they both look a little unkempt, but not that much worse for the wear. But clearly, like, something has been going on that they've been dealing with. They show up with kind of a weird little gold and green, like, metallic and jade box, which you can tell is basically, looks like it's designed to kind of, restrain Akashic energies to some degree.
Mm.
I see you were successful.
Yeah. Yeah, things went fine.
She laughs. She's like, we've got something here. It's probably better to put that somewhere a little safer for the time being. She kind of pushes it over across the table.
Okay, so Molly will put the snake ball into the box and kind of give her nanobot hand a shake.
She clicks it closed, and basically, like, the scent and, like, the light, mostly disappear. It suddenly seems much more pleasant to be in the spot that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So the object's kind of contained in there. She kind of pats the top of it a little bit. She goes, so we have some connections at, a friend of ours at the Azure Archive that I think we're going to have somebody look this over a little bit. We don't know much about this, but we are pretty sure this is connected to what happened to Earth, and we want to get to the bottom of that.
Well, I'd like to hear when you learn more.
Here, let me. She kind of reaches up into, like, her kind of head covering area, pulls out kind of like a little silver pin, and she hands it to you, and she goes, "I'll be in touch."
Molly takes the pin,
okay,
tucks it in her own hair.
Now, there was some kind of sensory dampening effect around this. If it's connected to Earth, is it possible the Earth is still there, but we just can't see it?
Both of them kind of stare at you for a second, and then Jackalope just bursts out laughing. He goes, "I'm not even being sarcastic. I don't think anybody's checked." If you want to look.
I fucking want to look, yeah.
Theron, who's just this ball of seething rage, right there, is sharpening his claws on the underside of the table. What about this egg? What do we know about the egg?
Egg? She kind of thinks for a second. Yeah, there was, we heard some stuff about an egg of prophecy or something. It didn't really seem relevant to what we were looking at, so we didn't look into it too much detail. But
wait, you didn't set that up? I thought that was your distraction.
No, we were doing something else.
Oh.
There's a sharp crunching noise from underneath the table. I see.
Wait, so who else did you tell about that? Because sure seemed timed coincidentally. I would have sworn you guys set it up.
She kind of looks, no.
Well, that's weird.
Yep.
So what were you doing?
She kind of stops and thinks, and she goes, "Ask me next time you see me. It's a long story."
That's it this week for the Chimera. If you've got a minute, do us a favor and stop by iTunes or Stitcher and leave us a rating and review. Or do both if you want. Or just go out and tell your friends or a bunch of strangers, or put up a poster or a billboard. And if you want to find us online, we are at ChimeraPod on Twitter and Facebook. Or you can go to thechimera.space, which is our website and Tumblr. Or you can reach us directly at itsthechimera@gmail.com. And join us back here in 2 weeks for the beginning of a brand new arc. Thanks for listening.
Oh, and I did remember there was just one other thing I did want to tack on at the end, which is that that night when Rolith goes to sleep, almost immediately when his head hits the pillow or whatever it is that he does, he just dreams of himself in, basically like kind of an ultra generic like town, like living place somewhere in what seems like night, but the sky is just all closed eyes and a couple of them open.
That feels
And it's
good.
just up to 2 out of all the eyes in the sky.
Huh.
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
It'll be fine.
As long as they're not all open.
Yep.
I think you need a new calendar that's like days till all eyes are open.
I'm gonna need some deets on the subpoena.
Oh yeah, we should probably read that.
When I'm expected to be there, which jurisdiction I'm supposed to be in. I'm gonna have to file some delay motions.
So she there's not a ton of information about like the details of what it's about. It's basically just a Akashic summons that demands that you be there for standing accused in the grand court of the galaxy to see trial before the foot of the empty throne in 1 galactic month's time, basically.
Okay. Yeah, delay motions, then I'm going to try to get the jurisdiction changed. Because, yeah, the foot of the empty throne, they're really a conservative court, and that's not gonna go well for me. So
you have no idea how accurate that is.